Hey guys, it's Lex
and Courtney,
and you are listening to another episode of The Pleasure's All Yours. We are here encouraging sexual liberation in the Black and queer communities.
Yes, we are here to laugh, learn, and discover all the ways that the pleasure is
all yours.
It's all yours, baby. Hey boo.
Hey girl.
What's been up with you?
Oh, nothing actually.
Literally nothing. How was your week?
It was okay. What happened in my week? Nothing really happened during the week. There has been work drama.
Oh, I love
and
that.
That is like...
Well, are you involved in the work drama?
No,
okay,
never.
Good.
I sit at my desk with my headphones on, listening to my little audiobooks or like an album or something. But like I'm like people tell me what's happening in the office and I'd be like, oh my God. That's so crazy.
It makes life a little bit more interesting for that 8 hours, I'm sure.
Yeah, there's just a girl who was dating this one guy in the office, but then was kind of like stringing him along and then stopped dating him. But now she's dating another guy in the office, and the guy that she was originally dating is like found out, and like now it's like this whole thing.
Oh, no.
And it's a little tricky because she's like a higher up and he isn't. So
I love an office whore. I do. I think that is such an interesting storyline.
Yeah, so there's a lot of things going on there, and I'm just like, it just seems really messy.
Yeah,
definitely. And it also just seems like a really big HR problem waiting to happen.
100%.
So,
wow.
That's been like interesting.
Okay.
But other than that, like, just been working. I played tennis over the week.
Okay, challengers.
Yeah, literally. And Red keeps saying Challengers is having a moment. And like when you go into Target, their collection right now is a bunch of fucking tennis. Pickleball stuff.
Pickleball is having a moment right now.
Yeah. So I quite enjoy playing tennis. I think it is very fun.
Okay.
And I really like getting sweaty. So like, it's fun for me.
What do you mean?
I like getting sweaty.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Like that was like one of my favorite things about working out was like getting sweaty.
Okay.
And like doing things and getting sweaty. The only time I don't like getting sweaty is like if I'm fucking, because then it's like.
That seems like the only time that I feel like, I don't know. That seems like what I thought you meant when you said like I like getting sweaty. Like that would be, I like fucking getting sweaty.
I don't mind getting sweaty when I'm having sex. I don't like how like sheets will stick to me.
Yeah.
And like not everybody likes that. Slick
feeling. Yeah.
So then it's like now you're like hesitating to touch me because I'm like I'm perspirating a little bit. So yeah.
I like to lick sweaty bodies.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like to feel sweaty drips. Like when I was fucking a big nigga.
Yeah.
He would sweat and like sometimes it would get in my eye.
That burns.
It burns, bitch.
It burns.
And you just like,
and I'm getting somebody else's sweat in my eye. That would actually piss me off.
It's nasty. Like
what's coming out of your pores right now?
Yeah. I mean, actually, he was a very like clean individual. Actually.
But what does he eat? What's coming out of his pores?
He ate pretty good. Yeah. Like he was a cook. So like he would make a lot of like fresh stuff.
Okay. Love that.
But yeah, I hated that. Like getting sweat in my eye. But I do like the feeling of like slick bodies like hitting each other.
Absolutely. I do love that, but I think like because people don't like touching sweaty bodies, that is why I'm like like I've had times where I've gotten sweaty when I'm having sex with someone and they're like the tips of their fingers are touching me instead of their whole hand.
Oh,
and I'm
like
damn.
Yeah.
I'm sweaty, but I also just don't like sticking to like the sheets and things either. So
that makes sense.
Yeah,
you got to keep that fan on high, but then your pussy gets dry.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like
or you get a little chilly.
Catch 22.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So if you haven't listened to this episode, I'm so sorry. I don't know what I was thinking about.
Drew a blank.
Yeah, like my mind is going like a mile a minute right now. If you have never listened to us before, we like to start off each episode with a pleasure moment where we just discuss our favorite part of the week and like something that stood out to us as like finding pleasure in a sea of unpleasurable circumstances.
Yes.
Yeah. Lex, what was your pleasure moment today or this week?
I think maybe I got to catch up with like my long distance friends, so that was definitely one of them.
Okay.
So we've had D on a episode before, and we got to get on the phone and catch up, chat, and that was like really nice.
Yeah.
And then Snow, who we also had on an episode.
Yeah.
I got to catch up with her twice during the week. So I love that. And I love shit talking people's ex-boyfriends with them once they break up. Like that's like my favorite thing, because like I'm such a like I try to be the most supportive friend while you're dating someone. And then once you're done and you're like, oh, this was happening, I'm like, bitch, I'm ripping that nigga a new one. Like the fuck? I'm about to tell you all the things that was going on in my head. Yeah, so that was fun.
Okay,
yeah,
that is good. It's a good feeling.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I love that. I'm glad that you got to catch up with your friends, and those friends are so important to you.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to connect with people when they're so far. I have a friend in Lubbock, and I love her dearly. I need to call her. She's not even that far.
Yeah,
but it sucks.
It's crazy because when I think about making friends right now that are long distance, I'm like, no, but like I've made friends, like two of my closest friends are long distance. One is in Seattle, one is in New York. So like,
and with D, it's like you have always been long distance. Like when she was living here, like we weren't really friends. No. So you literally cultivated a whole relationship. Yeah. 2,000 miles away.
Yeah, but me and Snow, we've lived together twice. Yeah. And so, that's a little easier. Different. But like, yeah. What about you, Courtney? I love having you be so accessible. So like, if you like, I like having that you're so accessible.
Oh, like I don't only live 20 minutes away.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be like, once every few weeks I FaceTime you. Like,
oh yeah, and also we do this.
Yeah. Yeah. But what about you? What was your pleasure moment?
See how we're both doing that? It's because there's dust. Yeah. There's just dust everywhere.
It's still technically springtime.
So again, I understand what you mean by dust. You mean like dust, like dirt and debris. I'm talking about fucking dust.
Oh yeah.
I'm talking about AC dust.
Okay,
I'm talking about building dust. I'm talking about carpet dust. Like, bitch, I'm so sick of seeing it. Anyway. My pleasure moment this week was definitely not yesterday, but the day before. So Thursday, when we were finishing up with the conference that I was at this week for work, and everybody was just like, "Oh my gosh, Courtney, you are so a joy to work with. I can't wait to tell so and so how great you are. You just act like you've been here for 10 years. Like this is amazing." Yes. I just love when people tell me how good I am at things because I know. But like,
you like to hear it.
I like to hear it. Yeah. And then also I meet new people basically every time I'm traveling, like within my company. So I want to make sure that my name like travels farther than me. Yeah. Exactly. Cause like, I'm not trying to stay where I'm at right now. I want to like keep growing, and there's like so much room to grow. So yeah, that felt really good. I felt really affirmed, in my choices. And like, I told you I had like a moment, when I was in Mexico for work where I was just like, I had like imposter syndrome. I was just like, I don't know if I'm like meant to be here and stuff. And that was kind of like a different situation because it was more like the type of people that worked at a different sector of my company. Yeah. But like me being around people that work in my sector of my company, like I definitely deserve to be here. And like, I don't know. It was a very validating experience after having kind of a shitty experience in Mexico. Yeah. To hear that like, yeah, I'm qualified. That's the word I'm looking for. Like I'm qualified. Like I would always think like, okay, I came from the sex store. I came from working for my dad. I came from healthcare. I came from that area. Like what the fuck am I doing here? But like actually every single one of those jobs helps me with what I do right now.
Yeah, you got you got skills from all of those jobs that
these other people really do not have. Like I am such a little customer service fucking girl, and it shows in like my interactions with not only my like coworkers but also like my clients, and it's just like it's paying off. So anyway,
and I feel like after working at the sex shop, it is so easy to talk to people.
That's what it is, bro.
It's so easy to talk to people.
I can sell you a dick. I can sell you a couch. I could sell you a car product.
I can sell you a life dream, baby.
Literally, like put it on me.
Yeah.
I had people telling me that I should go into sales, and I was like, no, that's way like for my check to be so based on like my ability to sell $100,000 of this product to you. I'm good on it. I like to just be like fun and flirty. Yeah. That's kind of my thing, is like we get like 10-minute interactions, 5-minute interactions, and like you just love me. Like all these executives are adding me on LinkedIn and I'm like,
yes, I love this.
Anyway,
that's beautiful.
That was my pleasure moment. You said, you had a pretty peaceful week. Is there anything we should chat about? Anything we should catch up on?
Me and Red's relationship isn't like a relationship per se, but like,
okay,
wait, let me explain.
Yeah, let me not.
Let me explain.
Okay.
But it is a companionship as well. It's not like, let me finish. Anyway, like we both kind of understand that like this is really working for us right now, like how it is right now. Yeah. But like, I don't remember what happened, but something happened and we were like, and like I just kind of like made a face, and she likes to check in, be like, I just want to make sure we're still on the same page about everything and like what this is going to be or what it might not be. So basically, it's just having conversation that if either one of us were to meet someone, that like our relationship could change it to something different, and that is always like a really emotional conversation for me to have, because I don't like change, one, and two, like it takes me so long to get as comfortable and as trusting as I am with her. Mm-hmm. So it takes me so long to get there. So then like now you're telling me that like at some point maybe, and I'm like that's every relationship you even get into is like at some point
the
maybe
unspoken truth.
Yes, exactly. But like we talk about that truth, and so like it is just a really emotional conversation. And she's just like, I just feel really guilty sometimes because I can't promise anything. And I'm like, I'm also not asking for anything to be promised to me. I'm not trying to settle down. I'm not trying to get married. Yeah. I'm not trying to do any of that right now. Yeah. It's just nice having companionship in the way that like we have it. So I'm like, if this is what's working for us, I want it to work like for as long as it can. And I understand that at some point it may change. It may not, but at some point it might. And like, that's a hard conversation to have with a partner.
Absolutely.
But we still had that conversation, and it kind of like messed up my mood for 2 days.
Was it this week?
Yeah. It's just something that like always messes with my mood, because then I get really like, I start overthinking like every single interaction we're having. Yeah. And she was saying that she feels guilty sometimes, and I'm like, okay, so like, is she affectionate with me because she's feeling guilty, or like
what does she specify what she feels guilty about?
She just said that I think it stems from like her not like thinking she deserves what I give. And I think that she's always like, I just think I should be giving more. And I'm like, you give so much. Like you give so much to me. Like I think it's an equal partnership. Take. Yeah, exactly. So I ask her like, where does that feeling come from? Like, why do you think that you should be giving more when I think you're giving me exactly what I'm asking for and like what I'm needing right now? I don't feel like I need to be asking you for anything else. So yeah, there's that. So, and I don't want, and that's a fear, a trauma fear I have anyway, that people are like being nice to me and showing me love and care because they feel guilty or because they feel pity or anything like that. So, it like triggers other things. And like, it really takes a moment of reconnection for my brain to even out. And we were having great sex like last night.
Perfect. So sounds like a good reconnection to me.
Yeah. And we were just like laying in bed, like all cuddled up on a Friday night, like just having conversation. Yeah. And like, she's someone who's on her phone a lot. And so I will literally lock her phone while she's doing something and I'll move it. And we just sat there and we were just talking about stuff, and like us talking led to us making out, led to us having sex. So, and we tried a few new things, which was also really nice.
Really? So, please lay one on me.
So, I have my cowgirl, right? Yeah. Okay. So like one thing that we will masturbate each other, but we won't like masturbate together. Yeah. Like in the same space. Yeah. So we did that last night, and I was like on my cowgirl, and she was like watching a video on the bed, like with one of the wands that I have. Yeah. And so that was just so nice. I love the way like women look when they have like, when they like are really horny for you.
Yeah.
And so like that look, I'm like, oh, I want to bottle it up and like look at it all the time. Like, so yeah, it was just us making a lot of like eye contact and petting each other from like next to each other.
Yeah.
Lovely. So that was like a new kind of experience that we done. But then like we just also afterwards we did what we also really like to do. So
I mean, if I already know what that is.
yeah. Yeah. So yeah, that's actually one of my favorites too. So I'm not complaining whatsoever. I love a wand, okay? And if you don't have one that plugs into the wall, if you don't have a vibrating wand that plugs into the wall, you really, really need to get one. Like the rechargeable ones are cool, fun. I still have them and I will still use them. That's like my backup. But like, god damn, one that plugs into the fucking wall.
There's no stopping the party, and they're so much stronger.
Yeah, and the vibration is like completely different.
Yeah,
it's like completely different.
It feels like it. This is me. I get overstimulated by like a rechargeable wand, so it doesn't work for me. But you can tell the vibration is like harder, but not necessarily in a bad way. Yeah. It's just more like a vibration.
Yeah, it's like
I feel like the wands are more rumbles. And this is like a real like
yeah, it's really, really nice.
You have the Doxy, right?
Yeah, I do have the Doxy diecast. That one is really good. I just love it. And it starts off on such a high setting, but it goes lower.
Okay.
So like we will start off on a lower one and then
work our way up.
Yeah, work our way up. Usually to like the second one. I don't think we usually go past the second one because it's a lot of vibration, but like I love it. And there's like something about a pelvis, like the vibrator on your coochie and then a coochie on top of the vibrator and the pressure and the like thrusting. I'm like, oh my God. Yeah.
Definitely.
So good. It's like as close to scissoring as like I have been getting.
Literally.
So, like, yeah.
Absolutely.
And she's so hot too. So like she'll like sit back and she'll do the thing with her locks. Oh, I'm like, stop. Put that away.
So you said today that you weren't really in the mood, but it sounds like you had a pretty good night.
Yeah, and I've been listening to a lot of like lesbian romance novels and they're all pretty spicy. And so like I also have been getting like a lot of ideas on things to do. So there's that too.
Yes.
Like
Taking notes.
Mm-hmm.
Love it.
Absolutely.
Well, I really love that for you. I finally had sex.
Yes.
It was great.
I love that.
We watched. Well, we didn't watch, but like
we watched you.
We went through 3 movies. We watched Scott Pilgrim,
yes,
X-Men, and Fallout, and then Deadpool. We literally did not watch any of those movies.
I love it. I love Scott Pilgrim. That would have been distracting for me.
So that's when we started, but it was great. I'm just not. It's been a long time since I've like had sex, so it was like it was a lot to like. It was very intense to get used to.
Yeah,
but then around the 3rd movie or the second and a half movie, I really hit my stride.
Boom, boom. Yes,
just like and there's just so many positions, and I think I think this is gonna be like bi-weekly peen. Okay. Once a month peen.
Okay.
Because when I tell you, I really feel like I displaced my IUD. Like,
yes. You get those like aftershock cramps.
No, I was like having actually a little bit of like light bleeding. Okay. Which I had just got off my period like Sunday morning. And like, this happened not long after that. So I was thinking maybe it was that, but I called my OB because I was if you haven't had sex in a long time, I was overthinking so much, like so much. Yeah. So I just called my OB and I asked her like if that was normal, and she was like, yeah. And even if you've had it, your IUD, because I've had my IUD for almost 2 years. Yeah. So she's like, even if you had it for a long time, that can happen. You just want to make sure you can palpate it. Yeah. And like you can make sure it's in position. And I'm like, girl, I don't think my fingers are long enough for that. I got nails. I know. I was like, I literally have to find somebody to go in there
and be like, can you feel it? Can you feel it?
Can you feel my prongs?
Yeah. My ex, that was one thing that would happen though. Like whenever we would have sex, like especially if we were using the strap on. Yeah. She had an IUD, and like sometimes we'd get a little crazy and she'd be like lightly spotting afterwards.
Yeah.
And sometimes when I fingered her, I could feel it in there.
Yeah. Which she says if you feel it, you want to be able to feel it.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely, because I can imagine like the way that it sits. When you put it in, it looks like a T, like upside. You would go in upside down, so the little things are hanging. Or actually, no, there's like it's a T, and then there's like these little strings at the end. But over time, the strings curl up and like almost like curl around the cervix opening, so it's harder to like feel it. So which is good for like actual like human anatomy penises, because they get softer and like you don't feel them poking. But for like the first few months, you can definitely like feel it, and they're like poking down. It's like fishing wire. Yeah. So I don't know. Like I just don't feel like I would be able to get up there far enough to like actually feel where they are. So any volunteers? Let me know.
Can you help me find my IUD?
Just real quick.
Walks up to a woman at a bar. Hey, could you help me find my IUD?
I don't know. I could go to Sue's. I'm sure somebody would do it for me. Yeah. I don't know. But yeah, definitely not often peen. Also, as much as I love penetration, it's just like, actually, bitch.
Yes.
I didn't pop out my vibrator like until the morning. Like we were doing it and I was like, wait, I forgot who I am and where the fuck I come from. So I grabbed the FemFun Ultra Bullet. Yeah. I had like the strongest, like I could just feel my eyeballs like getting stuck in the back of my head. Like he had my legs up in a V, like holding my ankles, like
that spread eagle,
and like that. Like he wasn't like pushing back on anything. It was just it was so good to feel like some balls slap against my clit.
That is like such a great feeling. Like that is one that I will say is like that's interesting. I like that.
I like that a little bit. Okay, you know. Yeah. So that was not my pleasure moment, but it was a good moment for me. I'm enjoying like getting back out.
Yeah, doing your shit, popping your shit,
being nasty as fuck,
as you should.
Being so nasty.
Like you're leaving here smelling like my coochie juice.
Oh man, literally, like came all over his face, and you kind of like spit it back into my pussy. Yeah, that's a good one. The only thing I will say about 69ing, and this goes for,
were you on the top or the bottom?
Top. Well, actually both. Okay, so both of them were great. So the first one, I was on top and I was like sucking his dick, and I just don't like the view. I feel bad for like the feet, bro. Niggas always have weird feet, and I understand that like y'all played sports, you wear cleats, like I get it.
You wear boots,
you wear work boots, whatever. Yeah. But bro, I need you to go get a pedicure, and like his toes were fine, like they weren't long or anything. It's just boy feet are just not cute.
They look like hands with their feet like this.
Literally,
that's literally what they look like. This is literally what boy feet look like.
Oh my god, yes. So I'm just like, okay, I can't do this for too long because this is a lot for me.
Put your fucking feet away.
Put some socks on.
Why aren't you wearing socks?
Just put some fucking. But he was like, I need traction. Like,
oh yeah. So the socks don't help with that.
No. So then I got on the bottom and I hung my head off the bed. Yes. And he was just like that, and then he pulled me up like so that he could just eat my pussy while he was standing up, like fucking my face. Yeah.
That's one that I was hoping, my fingers were crossed that is exactly what you're gonna say.
Yeah, that was. But when I squirted in his mouth, I was on top, and then he just like spit it back up in my like that. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah.
Miss Noir, if you nasty for real.
If you nasty bitch, man, I be forgetting I was a nasty hoe. Yeah. Anyway, I have a fun fact, kind of. It's not very fun though.
Snaps all around.
It's not fun.
Oh damn. That story was fun, so I guess that kind of makes up for it.
Thank you. That can be the fun fact. Okay. This is just a fact. Okay. So I read an article last night sent to me by my BFF. And it was called "I'm Not a Cheater, I'm a Cake Eater."
Okay.
And interesting. This is from The Cut. And I will definitely link it in the bio because it's a really good read actually, and it's very quick. It was like a 5-6 minute read. So it opens up with this girl named Alyssa, and I'm just really gonna assume that all the names have been changed in this story. But essentially she was saying that she was in an 8-year relationship, and one day while he was on a business trip, they were on the phone together and they got into an argument, and like she hung up and she was just really upset. So her friend had, like, a friend that she hadn't seen in a few years had just moved back into town and, like, down the street, like, walking distance.
Okay.
And so she called him because she was feeling sad. And she was just like, I just really need, like, a pick-me-up, like, to just cheer me up. So, of course, she went over to his house. And they ended up fucking. And it began, like, a full-fledged, like, adultery relationship that, like, just never really ended. So, like, she would go back over there multiple times, even when her boyfriend was back in town.
Yeah.
And she says that polyamory was not an option, so she chose to simply have her cake and eat it too.
Yeah.
So she found this information on a Reddit called Cake Eaters.
Okay.
So it's a term. Cake eaters are defined as a person who is married, generally happy and satisfied, has regular sex with their significant other, is not planning on divorcing or separating, is not looking for an exit affair, and is additionally having sex with other partners. So essentially, they're cheaters who are not looking to pursue any kind of open relationship.
Okay.
But they still want to be able to have sex with people outside of their primary relationship.
Okay.
They want to cheat and get away with it. And it just seems
cake
like...
eaters make sense then.
It does. Have your cake and eat it too, right?
Yeah.
Like, it makes a lot of sense. And I just think it's really interesting how there's a community around this, right? So when she said that she had found out information on Reddit, what did Courtney do? I had to get on the motherfucking Reddit.
Yeah.
So I could see what the fuck y'all were talking about. So there's 2 Reddits. There's Reddit Cake Eaters, and then there's Reddit Adultery. And it's literally just stories of, like, not just stories, but, like, tips and, like, code words and, like, tricks to be a cake eater. So be in a relationship. A lot of these were men. There was a few women stories, and I really enjoyed those stories. So I might link, like, the Reddit page too if I can. I don't know how many links I can add these days, but I would definitely look if you're just in for, like, a story time.
Yeah,
it's really wild to hear some of the things that these people do.
Yeah.
But anyway, Alyssa goes on to say that she sees her her outside affair as much as twice a week, and it becomes addictive after a while. And then when the interviewer asked her, like, well, why don't you approach your partner for an open relationship or a polyamorous style relationship?
Yeah.
And she says she doesn't feel comfortable with her partner having outside relationships or being, like, emotionally invested in anybody else or seeing anybody as frequently, which is literally, like, insane.
Yeah.
Like, these people are, like, so psychopathic because she says she doesn't want her partner to cheat, but literally she does it twice a week.
Yeah.
And then
she probably feels justified in her reasoning, though.
100%. And hold on. Alyssa goes on to list her reasons for not breaking up. She says it's a higher cost of living. And then also at this point, her sex has picked up with her significant other. So she doesn't feel like a reason to leave him. But she does say that she feels, like, entitled to, like, a passionate time, and he can't give her a passionate time, so she can't find somebody that can. And, like, unfortunately, I can relate to that to a certain extent. However, I didn't feel disconnected from it.
Yeah.
These people, like, there's multiple stories within the article, and I'm just going to talk about Alyssa because she's the only woman. But yeah, it's very strange how disconnected she felt in the article from, like, what they were actually doing. And on the Reddit forums, it gets a lot worse. And it's like, you can tell a lot of these posts are, like, also written by men on Reddit specifically. So I enjoyed hearing Alyssa's story, and I like how The Cut wrote the article because it's more from a feminine point of view. It doesn't seem so, like, incel-y. Like, it's giving incel. So anyway, I wanted to mention some of the terms. They have AP, which means affair partner. And then they have OPSEC, which is Operation Security. And it's just forms dedicated to people that are in these relationships and they don't have any intention of leaving their current partners, and they're giving tips for other people on how to successfully have these relationships and keep them hidden.
Not the how-to.
Literally, like, step by step. This dude broke it down into, like, sections, like technology, computer, phone, and then he had, like, emotional whatever, routines, how to change your routine slowly, like detailed instructions. So I did write some of the OPSEC, Operation Security tips. Number 1, don't lie to your AP or your affair partner.
Yeah.
Be upfront about your situation. So if your affair partner, your affair partner should know that you have kids,
Yeah.
you have a wife, you know, what you do, all that stuff. Like, don't lie to them, which, again, crazy that you would lie to the person you've been married to and have kids with.
Yeah.
But you won't lie to the affair partner.
I guess so they can know what they're signing up for.
Definitely. And I understand that because, like,
and there's like nothing to risk there either. Yeah. So it would make sense that they would be like, here are all the truths, bitch. Fuck you.
Yeah. Either you're with it or you're not.
Yeah.
You can't try to blackmail me on this bitch. Yeah, absolutely.
Signing an NDA, bitch.
100%. The next one was don't promise your affair partner anything unless you plan to fulfill those wishes, which apparently you wouldn't be a cake eater if your goal was to move out of your primary relationship and into an affair, like into the relationship with your affair partner.
Yeah.
So don't promise them anything. Always say, hey, this is just sex, or this is just sex and cuddles, or this is just, we're dating, I guess. Like, I don't know how far in it gets to be a cake eater. Like, if you have multiple relationships or if these are mostly just sexual relationships. I guess it just depends on the person.
It's that non-ethical non-monogamy.
Exactly. That's really all this is.
Yeah.
It's, what?
Yeah.
It's just really crazy.
Yeah.
And then another tip, choose your affair partners wisely. So they suggest that cheaters should date cheaters. That's the best combo because you guys both have stuff to lose. You know?
Cheaters Anonymous.
So they have groups where you can join and like you're like, oh, you're a cheater. Like Ashley Madison.
Oh yeah. Or like Seeking Arrangements.
Yes, Seeking Arrangements. Seeking Arrangements. Okay, so Seeking Arrangements is like more, they try to lean towards like sugar babies and like escorts and stuff. But in this article, they said you should stay away from sugar babies or like younger women that are trying to like get things from you or vice versa.
Because that will impact your livelihood with your partner.
Exactly. They said it's just too much intermixed, and then they have more of a reason to like blackmail you in some way if they know. Like if you're giving them something and then you stop giving it to them.
I mean that's like a paper trail too, like
100%.
Because what are you withdrawing $2,000 every few weeks for? What's up with that?
Crazy stuff. Another one was join an affair group. Don't change your habits or routines too quickly. And by the way, do not take these tips
and go do them. We're not advocating for this. We're just informing you on what this is.
Because it was wild to me. Like as I was reading it.
Yeah.
You know, you gonna do what you gonna motherfucking do, bitch. But don't do this.
Because I really enjoy the show Cheaters. And if they still have it in 2024, I'm not saying that we should be looking to expose people, but I would love to see more people exposed for that, you know?
Yeah. So don't change your habits or routines too quickly. So like if you're going to meet somebody, I don't know, maybe you should, if you know you're planning on meeting somebody in a week, maybe start staying at work late and, you know, calling them from work every evening and make it a precedent that you're going to be at work longer hours.
This just seems like such a...
This was the actual article. These are all examples. I didn't just make this up. Like, they're just from this Reddit person.
Oh, no. I was just saying, like, this is a lot of steps to make this happen.
Oh, man. People really want to cheat on their partners.
I think it's a thrill, too.
Oh, it becomes addicting. Yeah, totally. Habits. I think they said... I should have wrote that one down because the routine one was good. Anyway, I don't know. If I remember it all.
Maybe like hygiene habits.
Yeah.
Because like if you just start randomly taking a shower in the middle of the day or you come home smelling like a shower or something like that, you know.
Yeah.
I would be very suspicious.
Very suspicious.
Say that, like, I don't know, say you're doing a sport now or something.
Yeah, like now that you're playing pickleball at lunch with your coworkers and so you have to shower before you come home. Yeah. Get a burner phone.
Wow.
You people are willing to spend so much money.
Y'all gonna get a flip phone and have to put minutes on it.
I'm watching 90 Day Fiance Happily Ever After. And this fucking dummy boy. I think I've talked about him on the show because I told you he reminds me of my ex. And like I physically, like, I get so repulsed by him. Like he looks just like him.
Yikes.
Looks just like him. So it's gross. But he and his wife were sitting on the bed on their phones and like you hear a vibrate, like they both hear it and it's like right next to them. And like even the producers are like checking their phones like, oh, it's not our phone. Like this is not our phone. And then it connects to the Bluetooth and it says like, hey, this is like the boyfriend's name. I forgot his name.
Yeah.
Hey, this is blah, blah, blah. I can't come to the phone right now. Leave a message. But he's on his phone and his phone is on airplane mode and he like shows it to his girlfriend. So he's like, I don't know where this is coming from. My phone's on airplane mode. Like, where's this coming? And so she's like, oh my God, this nigga has a fucking second phone. So right now she's like all over. She's searching the house looking for the second phone. Yikes. And we'll find out tomorrow if it is a second phone.
Yikes.
Yikes. But like niggas really be having burner phones.
Yeah.
Not just for drugs, but for pussy too.
That just seems like a lot. I mean, pussy is a drug.
Ain't it? Ain't it? And then another tip was to get preloaded cards and cash for visits and dates. That way you're not swiping that card because Whitney said it first. Friday night, you and your boys went out to eat.
And I checked that receipt,
she
bitch.
said 6 of y'all went out. But 4 of you must have been real cheap, nigga.
Yeah, shit, you only got 2 meals, bitch.
I found that credit card receipt.
Yeah.
Yeah. So get your cash out so you don't got to worry about that. Also, maybe get another job. I would say work as a waiter, get some tips, and then you can use the tips as your money to fund your adulterous behavior. That way you're not taking money out of your account in large sums for your wife or your husband to find out.
And your children, like, taking money out of your kid's mouth, your wife's mouth, whatever.
Yeah, your dog's mouth.
Yeah, whoever, bitch.
Yeah. Anyway, so some of the language that was used in these Reddit forums, of course, are just, like I said, so incel-y. Like, they just seem so, like, white guy in his 20s that may or may not even be actually doing this stuff. But, they're giving advice to people. And it just, yeah. And now, ironically, I said I found this article last night. But I had already kind of like told you what I wanted to write about. And I wanted to write about like toxicity in relationships. So I was like, oh, this is a perfect segue in a way that like I wanted to talk about like my own toxicity in relationships. Okay. Like how we can contribute to like failed relationships or failing relationships or even just like the rocky roads that that have been in successful relationships. Like after my past relationship, I have come to realize that like I have toxic tendencies that I actually really have to address. Yeah. Before
I was just
no.
I said in a agreeing way. Okay. I'm like in a I feel you kind of way, not in like a Courtney, you're so toxic. That's not how I was saying it.
I didn't think that was how you're saying it.
Well, then why did you?
I don't know. I just felt like you said it a little too fast. Like hair too quickly.
One day I'm gonna create a clip of all of these moments where things like this happen, where I just simply respond, and Courtney's like, "Well, what the fuck does that mean?"
I'm sensitive. I'm a Scorpio. Just like I have not a lot, but I have a few certain tendencies that I think have been a inhibitor in my relationships being successful. I don't think it's the only inhibitor, because definitely not. Like I can see
it takes 2 to tango.
It takes 2 to tango. But the way that I decide to tango is usually pretty dirty. And that's the part I want to like
address.
Tighten up on, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I remember, last episode, whenever we recorded, we talked about how I was trying to be friends with my ex. Yeah. And like, you're like, it's just not like you need to take your time away. And like we had a whole conversation about it.
We did.
And then we talked about how he said he was going to listen to the podcast. And I was like,
why would you do that?
I said, I know. And I said on the podcast, I said, this is going to blow up in my face. I said that.
You did.
So Sunday morning, or whatever, it blew up in my face.
On Cinco de Mayo,
bitch. I was so happy I had a bottle of tequila in the car. And you had dinner on the stove.
On the stove. Your favorite, too.
It was so good.
Anytime Courtney says she wanted me to make shrimp, I know exactly what she's wanting me to make.
Oh, my. I want it now. I want it again. Anyway. What was I talking about? Oh, my conversation with my ex. So they called and they had listened to the podcast and they had heard about my makeout session with Green, which is the same person I had sex with now. But they, were like asking me all these questions, like, did you have sex with them? And like, did you ever really love me? And like, all these things. And while I felt sort of gaslit because we are not together and we have expressed that we're not together.
And what does sex have to do with love? But go ahead.
That number one, right? Like, yeah, I don't love this person. I'm just having sex with them.
My pussy and my heart are not the same thing.
No, they're not. And I literally was like, I had to be really honest. And I was like, listen, before we broke up, we had not had sex in almost 3 months. And like the one time we did have sex, it was just, I feel like you just did it because you felt like you needed to do it. Yeah. So like, this is not 1 week of pent up emotion. This is not, we broke up a week. Yeah. We broke up a week ago. And now I'm so horny because we broke up a week ago and I could do whatever I want. We have not like been connected that way in months, like since November, maybe, if not sooner, like if not earlier, like this is so many months pent up. Yeah. And I said all of that. I was just like, I have not felt like appreciated by you in that way. And that's a way that I've consistently expressed since last year that I need to happen in order to feel like we are on the same page, like emotionally, physically, mentally, all of that. And you have just not been able to do that. And I understand his reasonings, but that hasn't changed the fact that it wasn't happening. So if we are not together anymore, and one of the main reasons we're not together is because we cannot connect sexually, why does it shock you so much that I would take the opportunity now that I'm not with you to experience something sexually that I haven't had in X amount of months? Like,
and also, like I was saying, like, even if it was the same day you guys broke up, if it was the next day you guys broke up, it doesn't really matter as long as like you both know that it's over and you are now at liberty to do whatever you would like with your body and however you choose to move on. I don't understand why it was a problem anyway. Like why that was something that needed to be brought up to you anyway. Like, even like giving a warning, I don't even think that should have been necessary, because if you know what the podcast is about and you know the things that we talk about and you know all the things that have been going on with the two of you, I would take a break from listening. I wouldn't even fucking tune in. And I can appreciate wanting to still support and stuff, but there are ways you can indirectly support, like plug it to someone you know who's looking for something good to listen to or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that us having the podcast is also an outlet for us to process what's going on. And like, you know, even with my ex, there were issues whenever we would get on the pod and we talk about something and it would be like a whole thing. Well, you're painting me out to be the villain and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, I'm sharing my experience. I can't share your experience as well. I can only share mine. So I just think that like, if you have been involved with one of us or you are involved with one of us and then for some reason we're not together, we will be talking about it on the pod. Yeah. We will be talking about things that might make you upset. And I don't think there's any reason for us to apologize for that. So
I think you are absolutely right. I think you're absolutely right. And I enjoy doing the podcast more when I'm honest about what's happening. And that's why I'm like choosing to talk about all this stuff today. Cause I'm like, it's therapeutic for me. Yeah. We always try to wait until we get on the pod to catch up. And so it's hard to remember that I have stuff to tell you later. So it's also like we can just gossip a little bit. But also like, I know y'all are going through this probably in your own ways too. And like, you're not alone. Some shit is just hard to process.
And like emotions and relationships are really hard.
Yeah. Very, very hard.
Yeah.
So he was just like, you knew I was going to listen to the podcast. You should have said something. You should have said something. And that's the part that I said, I apologize. And I could agree on that, is that I should have said, when he said, I'm not saying like I should have just been like, hey, by the way, I'm talking about this on the podcast. But when he said, hey, I'm going to go listen to the podcast, that's when I should have said, well, maybe you shouldn't. Or, well, maybe you just be aware that you might hear something. So instead of him being blindsided, he could have made the decision beforehand to not listen to it. So I did like really apologize about that, because I've also had like issues with that in the past, like with my parents and like with other people. Like I just will let them hear it on the podcast. I feel like I've told my people from the very beginning, be mindful. Like
be mindful
when you tune in. Even Green. So in the morning he was like, you know, cause he's friends with what's his name? Yeah, he's friends with our friend. And so he was like, yeah, you know, what's his name put me on. And like, so I just went back and I listened to the last few episodes and y'all are so funny. And I'm like, okay, but like, you need to be careful because
be mindful.
You need to be careful.
Yeah.
Because I'm not trying to hurt anybody's feelings, but I don't want to get on this podcast and like talk
lie,
around things and lie. And
talking around things is so hard, especially when we're talking to each other, because off the mic, we don't talk around shit, bitch. It's like we're name dropping, we're place dropping, we're street dropping, like
street dropping,
bitch.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, if you are a friend and you're listening to this, like a sexy friend or a partner, an ex, I'm really sorry if I've hurt your feelings while I'm talking on the podcast. I try to do my best to like keep your identity away.
Yeah.
You know, other than the people that know us personally. So I'm sorry that you are processing this, and like, I would just unsubscribe. I will be okay if you did that. It wouldn't hurt my feelings. But anyway, either way, the fact that I couldn't bring myself to tell them before they listened to it had me just really like thinking about a lot of things. And I feel like when we had this conversation, our last episode wasn't out, right?
Yeah, it wasn't.
So I've been talking about green for the last few episodes. Yeah. So I feel like after the conversation was over on Sunday, we were in a good place. Like before I came to see you, we had gotten to a place where we were like, okay, well, we do need some space. We're going to take some space. Let's not talk. I leave tomorrow. And, you know, when I get back, we can chat. I'm blocked. Again.
Of course you are.
I'm blocked again.
Of course you are.
This is the second relationship that has ended, like, trying to do it amicably, and then they just are upset at the way that I'm moving on from the breakup, and they cannot. And so instead of like saying, hey, this is just too much for me, I think you're doing too well, or whatever the case is, I have to like let you go, or I have to block you. I just wake up one morning and I do not have access to them, which is fine. Like, I think I said on the podcast before, in my first relationship that happened, him blocking me was probably the best decision that he could have made for the both of us. And like, this one is a little harder though. Like, it's been hitting me because I just really wanted to be his friend. Like, I don't think I wanted to be Blue's friend. Yeah. In real life, like once we were done having a relationship, I was like, I love you, but it's not, I couldn't see us being friends. Yeah. But with this person,
you like wanted to cultivate a friendship.
I really did. Yeah. And I guess I just, now I'm sad because I feel like they're going to continue to listen to the podcast for their own reasons, and they're just going to like keep being disappointed in me, and I just have to like,
but like,
be okay with that.
I also think that something to take note of on their part is what we show on the podcast is not like as deep as we talk to each other, and as deep as you might even actually feel sometimes. Yeah. And like, I think people get like social media and like the activities that you're doing mixed up with how you're feeling. But like, sometimes actions are just to deal with feelings, and like, you're saying what you've been doing, but it's not like you have never once been like, well, I never loved this person, I didn't care about this person. I personally think that you saying what you needed since November, and still it's May now, or it was April whenever you guys like split, from November to April, you still like compromising what you want to show them that you care about them and that you love them and that you wanted to be in it with them, is such a huge sentiment and like of love. Yeah. So I think that is kind of like tunnel vision of them to see this one thing and then be like, well, you never cared about me ever. Yes. Like, that is like insane to me, because like, everybody processes things differently, and I am a person who does like to process through physical contact with others. So like, if I am sad, sometimes I might want to sit and masturbate all day, or if I am like single fully without having to like speak about, oh, this is who I'm seeing with someone else, I'm gonna fucking find someone, I'm gonna get under them immediately. So like, I think that everyone processes differently, and I think you not processing the way that he thinks that you should, or a way that makes him feel validated in your relationship, is his own problem to deal with. Yeah. Like, that's his own problem to deal with, because you get to move on however you want to. Everything has been ended and cleared. So like, it doesn't matter. Again, it doesn't matter if it was the same day, the next day, 3 weeks later, it does not matter. That doesn't erase all the effort and time and like inner turmoil that you even put yourself through for the months that all this was happening. And like, you tried to meet him halfway. For a really long time.
In a lot of different other aspects as well. And I definitely like mention that. I think one of my biggest, I don't even know if it's toxic, but one of my biggest tendencies that I'm trying to fix is like, I can't be like, I have to be okay with being the villain in everybody's story if that's like what they see me as. Like, but instead I try to like avoid having certain conversations with them or like try to be friends with them because they want to be friends with me, or like I over assume the importance of me in their lives. And then it ends up being where like I'm trying so hard to like not have them see me as a bad person for wanting to leave, that they see me as a bad person for the way I handled them after I decided to leave. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I think, so they like, it's like the effort you, like you're trying to stay and like try to make it work.
My effort to try to make it work past a relationship.
Yeah.
Like after I decided to break up, like I feel so bad that I decided to break up, that I put all this effort into like remaining friends and like showing them hey, I really still care about you. I really am still committed to this relationship. I'm really still like committed to growing as friends or as whatever that relationship means for us. It ends up like backfiring because I'm still trying to do all my own thing, but because I'm not creating a clear clear enough separation, they're expecting me to remain like act the same as when I was in a relationship with them, and that then at the end of the day it makes me look worse. Because, you know, because they're like, oh, you really don't give a fuck about me, like, you know.
That's why I always say the actual space for real is like so important.
Listen, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me.
There won't be a third time, I hope.
No, there won't.
Okay.
Another one of my tendencies is to overlap. And I just like, I kind of felt like I was doing that for a second, like after Green spent the night on Sunday. But I don't feel like that about him. Like, I really enjoy like his company, but like, I wouldn't want to like go out on a date or anything.
I need you to spend some time not in a committed relationship.
That's what I'm saying.
Actually, like,
so because my last,
and a year ago, that's what you were saying also.
Okay. Yes, you're right, and that's the toxic tendency. Okay, I just tend to I tend to fall in and out of things. That's just really, honestly, that's like been my, now that I'm thinking, like really thinking about it, it's actually been a pattern for like more years than just these last two relationships. Probably been like all of my relationships. Where like I just fall into shit. So actually, I really actually need to be better about it so I don't do it again, because it's a huge pattern that ends up hurting a lot of people around me. And it's also very confusing for me because I end up processing like multiple breakups at once. Like now that I'm I'm in this breakup, I'm processing the breakup that I had last year before I got into this relationship. And I'm like, whoa, like.
And sometimes after like a long relationship, like a year, 2 years, it kind of can take that whole amount of time to like actually process it and like go like get through it, you know? So yeah, I definitely think it's like really important to give yourself that time. And with you wanting to like get to know more of yourself and more of what you like and the kind of person you could be and the kind of partner you would actually like. And you even saying like, you know, you are leaning into your queerness. So you're really trying to figure out what your happy ending looks like with the queerness that you are embracing. I think that takes time to learn. So like, it's hard to learn what that looks like and what kind of person you would want that to be if you haven't had time to like experience people in general. So
absolutely. Like that is my number one goal, is to like really focus on what I want in my next partner, but also in myself, and also like in my goals, like career wise, financially, all of those things. Like I just, whenever I get into a relationship, I just like become so invested in like their life that and I really just think it's like a coping mechanism to like not deal with my own shit. So right now I'm just trying to deal with my own shit. But like I said, that just comes with me processing like all these relationships that I've had. And it's just been, It's been a lot this week, but like I feel very like positive. I feel like it's work that just needs to be done, and I'm lucky that I'm back in therapy and I'm able to like process those things with her, because also like, and actually it's funny because I had a conversation with literally my mom last night. You know, I have like kind of a lot of stuff going on in my family right now, and like I'm seeing how like mental health plays a role in like generationally.
Yeah.
And like I think my grandfather is a huge narcissist. Like,
it only takes one narcissist in the family. It only takes one to fuck it all up.
And it is just like seeing how he raised my mom and my aunt, and then seeing how my mom and my aunt raised me and my cousin, and I see a lot of the patterns in different ways. So like my grandfather was a narcissist because he literally thought even now he thinks he's right. He's the only person that's right. He has destroyed like he's been married 6 times, 6 relationships. He's like in his 80s and he just got married a year ago. Like he the way he treats women and the way that he gaslights women is like really something to be studied. Yeah. And then I feel like the way that my mom can sometimes like approach things, I think she tries to insert herself in like people's lives and choices too much.
Because she thinks that she knows what should be going on.
Right. And I think I have those same I'm noticing like certain things that are the same. Like I'm an only child too. So I just naturally think I'm like the center of a lot of things. Like even with like my friendships and like my just other relationships, I have to like take a step back and like realize that I'm not always the problem. Like narcissism doesn't have to be like, oh, I'm right, I think I'm the best choice, I think I'm the best. It can also be like, this person's life is falling apart. Is it because of me? Or this person is said that they had a bad day at work. What did I do to cause it? Did I text them or say something? Like, why am I just over assuming the importance in other people's lives? And like in my relationships, I've always had partners that have just kind of like are still just like finding their footing in like adulthood. And like I took on that responsibility of like, oh, if they got into a car accident, I didn't teach them how to drive well enough. Yeah. If they got a ticket for something or like they don't know how to fill out an application, I have to sit there and teach them, because who else is going to teach them? Like, no, they're grown ass people.
And Google is there. And if they need help, they can ask.
Exactly. And that's one of the things my partners always like are saying. They're like, I never asked for this. Like you just offered, and so I took your offer, but like I don't ask for your help. And I just think there's like different ways to be narcissistic. I'm not saying I am a narcissist. I don't think I'm a narcissist, but I have to realize like how like genetically and generationally, like there's some things in me that like I need to like address, so that I don't continue to like not ruin, but taint like certain relationships with people, but also for my own mental health. Yeah. Like, and I saw there's a post by this girl, and I won't like shout her out just in case, but like it was on Instagram, and she made a long post that basically said, my boyfriend called me a narcissist, and here's why I didn't disagree. And it was a long comment, and it was just like, I've been apologizing for things. Like I over apologize. Like somebody tells me they hit their foot. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry you had a rough day. I'm so sorry. And so like she had said, I'm so sorry that happened to you, to her boyfriend after he came home one day. And he was like, listen, like that doesn't really help me, because it kind of makes it seem like you did something and then I have to like cater to your feelings about like how you feel like you did something. Like, okay, the way that she wrote it in the comments.
No, I mean, I understand. I just have thoughts on it, but continue.
I actually kind of want to read it, because it was really good. And I feel like I just really understood her. And like what she meant.
Because I'm over here, I'm like, I apologize, but in a way where it's like I sympathize and empathize with what's happening to you, and like that shouldn't have happened. So
right, and like I'm
not saying I'm at fault, but how else do you, like, if you're not saying I'm sorry that happened to you, how else do you say well, I guess you could just say like I really empathize with that and I wish that didn't happen ? Like, I don't know.
The root of the problem stemmed from a few places in my adolescent years, and had at some point turned into automatic responses to certain scenarios or possible conflict. After talking it over in therapy, I started understanding that it was partly an issue with my wording and partly an issue with my self-perception. Sometimes it'd be an issue like hearing something sad happened and responding with "I'm sorry" as a means to say "I'm sorry to hear what happened." However, sometimes I'd reflexively assume blame for a situation that had nothing to do with me just because I somehow had rationalized that I could have done something to prevent the unfortunate circumstances before they happened. Regardless, both scenarios were resulting in the perception that the problem at hand is now my fault, whether directly or indirectly. And like, maybe it's internal. I don't think you're thinking, oh, well, because she apologized, like, she must have done something. But like, there's sometimes where I do, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. And I just feel like I need to do something about it. Like, I have to take action, even though I don't have any actions to take. And then that ends up making me feel weird about myself. And it can come off as like, I don't know, energetically to other people the same way. So yeah, she just said like, because her boyfriend said because she apologizes so often that when she apologized for something that happened to him, like it felt like
it felt disingenuous.
Yes, it felt disingenuous. Exactly. So to that end, it seems narcissistic to believe that every problem is one I could have had a hand in, and that every situation is one I could have controlled, or that every scenario is one where I'm so important that I must be the problem because everyone must be focusing on me enough to notice that I am the problem. Yeah. And that like is exactly how I feel a lot of times. So that is going to be something I want to talk to my therapist about in my next sessions, because like, yeah, I don't want to be like a self-absorbed bitch, but like I be self-absorbed as fuck because I'm an only child, and I just like, I always just have my brain. I never really had any other people like telling me about their experiences outside of like my friends when you're young. But at that point, you've already developed the habit of assuming that everything is about you. Yeah. And I also think that's why I'm so like averse to like social media, because I feel like whenever I post, like everybody's going to be like, that bitch right there never posts ever. Diva. She ain't no diva. She don't ever post, and now she trying to post because she trying to do something like that. But like nobody actually really gives a fuck.
Yeah, I'd be so excited to see when you post on Instagram. I'm like, oh, look at my friend
doing what I'm trying to do. Yeah, yeah. So essentially, as far as like my relationships, the last thing I want to say like about me feeling like a narcissist is like the idea of I can't leave because you need me. Yeah. And I think that has ruined so many of my relationships, because instead of leaving, which is also what he even said on Sunday, he was like, I wish you had just left me months ago. I wish that you had just talked to me and left me when you felt like this, the first few times when you felt like you couldn't be who you wanted to be. And absolutely. But I just felt like, oh, he needs me. He doesn't have anybody else. That's how I've always felt about all of my partners. That's just like not... that ends up hurting them more than it helps them. Like, there's no reason to like pity anybody or like make their lives. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
That kind of goes in hand with like when I say like I don't want anyone being like close to me or like investing in relationships with me because they feel like I need them to, or they feel like, well, Lex doesn't have a good relationship with their family, so like I don't want them to like not have anyone. I don't want that. That's not what I want. Like I want you to be here because you want to be here and because you enjoy being here as well. Like not because you think that I like need something from you. So like there's that too. Cause like, bitch, I was doing it all by myself before you
got here. And so yes, like I have to remind myself that like these niggas were surviving what. But yeah, so I ended up burning bridges like that because I just had that mindset, and I really don't want to have that mindset anymore. But I also know that I want, and I'm committed to finding a partner that is supportive of, that can be like a support for me instead of me always having to be a support for them or feeling like I was to be a support for them. They kind of have their shit in line, and also more confident. Yeah, I really... just because of what we already do, but also what I want to continue to do, and like also just who I am, and also being a queer woman that dates men sometimes. Yeah. I have to, like, regardless of who they are or what gender they are, be like comfortable and confident in like you and in like what we have for everything to like be okay. Solid. Like genuinely just So that's like the main personality traits I know I have to look for first. Like that's the first thing I'm going to look for is, are you confident in yourself? Do you love yourself enough to know that like I'll be around and I love you? Yeah. And also, can you support me? Like how can you add value to my life? Like genuinely add value. I hate being that bitch, but like I don't mean like just money. I'm just saying, can you add value? Can you make my days less stressful? Yeah. Can I depend on you where if I say like, oh shit, I have to do this thing and it's really stressing me out, that you can at least like show effort in trying to alleviate that stress in some way. I think that is like
really important. Don't add anything that I don't need.
Please.
But like what most people need is someone to like be there to like help with stress, to help like through life and stuff. So it's like, can you do those things?
Yeah.
And then also do those things for yourself. So
if I don't know how to fill out an application, can you do that?
yeah.
I don't know. Like,
do you know your social security by heart?
do you have your birth certificate?
Yeah. Do you know where it is right now?
Do you know where it is?
Yeah. I know where my shit is.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know where my shit is.
Yeah.
I got a folder.
My shit's at my mom's house.
My shit is in my apartment, and you know what else is in there? My car title, my social security card, and my insurance.
You need a folder.
Yeah,
You need
I
a
do,
little
and I
thing.
do, and I do have one.
I know where the stuff is at my mom's house,
Yeah,
but
maybe you should go get it.
no, I like we keep it all together right
Okay.
now. Once I move in, like once I feel like I'm in a state, like a home I'm not moving around a lot in.
Yeah.
I will grab it from her. But she has like told me exactly where it is, and like we have it like in files. Like I have my dad's stuff, my mom's stuff, and my stuff all together.
Love it.
If something happens to one of us, then we can all.
Just access it.
Yeah.
Okay, I love that.
But yeah, I know I feel like I'm gonna be a child until I.
I think it's really great that you have parents that are still like there for you like that,
Yeah.
even as you get older. And I think that's like what parents are supposed to do
Yeah,
anyway. So
and-
like,
and
I
that's
think
why
that's
I've-
really great.
That's why I feel like so like. I want to support my partners because
Yeah.
none of them have had that.
Yeah.
Especially two.
Yeah.
Maybe they've had one, but like not usually two. So I'm
Yeah.
just like, I have like these things. Somebody helped me do them.
Yeah.
Or like if you ask me for something and I don't know, I can, at least I can ask my mom.
Yeah.
At least I can ask my dad.
Yeah.
You know, he might. You know, they probably know something.
Yeah.
But there's people whose parents literally don't even give a fuck to know for their own sake,
Yeah.
much less for their children, which is typically the case.
And it as someone who has experienced that with my family, like it is really nice being surrounded by people who you know can help you through like those difficult things,
Yeah.
you know? So that's something that I always really appreciate. I don't always take it well. Like I don't always take it well. Sometimes I take it as judgment. Like when someone's trying to help me with something that I don't know, especially like because I'm fucking 27 and I'm
Yeah.
like, I feel like I should know that already. But like sometimes I take it as judgment, but I know that is like a trauma thing because of like being judged my whole life for
Yeah.
like every single thing. So like I can recognize that. And like at the end, even this morning, Red was trying to help with like something about the YouTube or something. And like I was getting frustrated for a multitude of reasons. I was trying to listen to Celine Dion and I had to pause my music because she kept talking to me, which which was like, I was like, damn, I just want to listen to this album in the shower. Like, that's fine. But then like, also it's just like, I don't always receive it positively. I don't always receive it as like, oh, I'm trying to help. And then like, you know, also if I'm saying I don't understand and then you keep interrupting me while I'm saying I don't understand without letting me say what I don't understand, that also was making me frustrated. But I think it's like a combination of those three things. Like, are you judging what I'm doing? One, I just want to listen to my Celine Dion album. Two, and can you let me finish my thought? Three.
It just sounds like you're overstimulated by what's going on.
Yeah, and that is sometimes what it is.
Yeah, but I do think that's one of my questions for today. Like everybody has toxic tendencies. Can you say your hyper independence might be sometimes?
Yeah, absolutely. That's like probably like the main thing that makes it hard for me to even like, mostly from people that are closest to me, to receive criticism and like actually see it for what it is, like a helpful thing. And like me and Red have gotten into this conversation a few times because she is younger than us, but she has so much like life experience because of her job and everything like that. And so, you know, it's really helpful having conversations with her, and she has like a lot of really helpful things to tell me, which I can always appreciate. But I think like sometimes I'm like a good handful of times we'll get into an argument while she's trying to help me because I don't feel like to me, I'm not receiving it as her helping me. I'm seeing it as her judging me and then being like, well, you should have done this.
Yeah.
And so there have been times where I've been like, well, you know, it's the way you're saying it to me. Like, and while I do think because that is something that happens and that is sometimes how I receive it, I think that she should approach me with caution.
Yes.
And word things
In a different way.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And that's all I'm asking most of the time, because like if I'm also not in a space to receive what you're saying, then it's going to be even worse. Like it's going to backfire even worse. So I think like me being hyper independent, as well as like me, it's not like I'm trying to save anyone, like, because listen, I tried to do that one time. It took one long-term relationship for me, like basically being there to hope
Put out fires.
in hopes of like being a saving grace for a person. It took one time for me to be like, this doesn't make any sense, because now I'm here and I don't even really want to be here. I just want to help you. So, you know, I think like that sometimes can show up, but I usually kind of check myself on that, because like everyone is an adult, and that is one thing that I have to remind myself. I also have to remind like sometimes my partner of the same thing, where it's like I know that you want to help me, and I know, but I am an adult, and I can, like, if I need your help, I will ask. Or if I'm just like venting about something that's happening, that's not an opening for you to be like, well, maybe you should do this. Sometimes I just want you to listen. But I definitely think like my hyper independence is like the main thing, because I feel like, because from 16 to basically like now, you know, I've been doing things on my own, and like having to, and even being the eldest child, I was already like taking care of myself and my siblings, and kind of like being ahead of the household, even though I had a mom. So it's like, I think that like just really, really can conflict in my relationships, my friendships, like anything, because I know that people can help me, and I feel like I'm a lot better at accepting help and asking for help now. But like it still is like an ongoing battle where I'm like, oh, you don't have to do everything by yourself. Like you also don't have to do everything for everyone. So there's that, because I am an acts of service girly. Like I do love to show my love as acts of service, but I also have to know when there's a limit.
I remember when, I think it was like maybe October last year, when you was like, I'm not doing shit for anybody anymore. I have to really love you to do some shit for you anymore.
Yep. And really the only people I be going out of my way for is like you and Red and maybe Ren, and like my niece, not my niece as much anymore, because I was really putting my neck out for her for a while, and it just,
that was really the catalyst.
That was the catalyst. But I think like when it comes to things like, oh, you want me to make you dinner, or you want me, like things like that, I am more than happy to just do that on a whim. Like even if I don't feel like it, I'm more than happy to do that. But when it comes to like really big tasks, like just the other day, one of my friends was talking about something crazy that was happening to her, and I was like, oh my God, like I'm like, you know, I'm here for you if you need anything. I wish that there was something that I could do, but like if you need a shoulder, like I'm here for you. And I was really proud of myself in that moment, because I didn't start spouting off things that I could personally do to make the situation better, because I don't have to do that. Like that's not something I have to do unless someone is asking that of me. So yeah, I have not been sticking my neck out for a fucking thing, like for anyone, like good. even at work, like I'm just like, what can I do for me to do me and focus on that? So
boundaries.
Yeah. And I'm really good at setting boundaries, and also like abiding by them on my own, and holding other people accountable for my boundary. I'm really good at that. But like I have to set the boundary to also be able to like hold other people accountable. So, and myself. Bitch. Yeah.
Well, hold me accountable, sis.
Absolutely.
Not too hard though. Not too motherfucking hard.
I'll do my best.
But yeah, I have questions for the gals, which we kind of already like covered some of them. But have you ever been toxic toward a partner, and what are your toxic qualities?
I think not intentionally toxic. I don't think I've like intentionally been toxic, but I do think that in my last relationship, whenever she was, and that's something that I think about all the time, is whenever she was telling me things from her past that were like kind of triggering for her, like things that like made her have trust issues, instead of just expecting her to deal with those and like go through those, I should have also been moving according to like what she was saying, instead of just being like, okay, well, like you said things were fine. And I think
that's
it's
a you thing, not a me thing.
Yeah. And I think it also comes because I know my intentions, and you might not trust my intentions, but I know my intentions, so I think it should be fine anyway. So maybe you should deal with that, and then I'll do my own thing. So I think that like that has definitely been like a toxic, and I didn't see it as toxic as at that point. I was just like, if I'm working through my traumas, why can't you work through yours? And like, why do I have to be responsible? Like, why do I have to change so much of what I'm doing for your traumas, you know? So I think like that is definitely like a toxic thing. I think that, you know, that was kind of selfish in that way. And definitely like the hyper independence for sure. That causes like rifts between me and Red sometimes. So, you know, but we like always get through them. And like at the end, it's always like, I always end up like apologizing because I'm like, I really didn't have to go there. Like I really didn't even have to respond like that. And I can see that you were just trying to help. And I'm sorry that like I got us into an argument basically over something that didn't even need to be an argument. So it's something that I noticed that I do. And like I try to stop myself before I get there now, but sometimes I can't.
But at least you can acknowledge after. I think I'm definitely the same way. Luckily, that was something that was really great in my last relationship is that like I didn't feel like it didn't hurt me to apologize afterwards. And I didn't feel like they were going to be like still mad at me or like they really just like would listen and be like, okay,
I want to pull my teeth out. I'm not gonna lie. Like especially if I'm like in the middle of the argument and I'm like, oh wow, I really am tweaking.
Yeah. Oh my god. And then I'd be like half embarrassed about it. I'm like, fuck. Like actually that happened to me on Sunday. I was so mad at something that they said. They were like probably the you never loved me comment. I literally screamed. I was like, ah! And then I was like, oh my god, I'm so sorry. That is something I did with my ex, and I'm not about to sit here and do that with you. I am so sorry. Yeah. Let me just take it back a second. And I did, and he was like, okay, and then we just kept talking, and then after that, like it really was like a pretty smooth conversation. Yeah, I love that. I'm also something I'm looking for in my next partner because bitch, it's hard in the moment when you get hot-headed to like remember all the steps and like let's be considerate.
One thing that she will do that will like really make me want to like fucking she'll be like, why are we doing this right now? I'll be like, bitch, what the fuck do you mean?
Why are we doing this right now?
But she'll do it as in like a like seriously though. Why are we doing that? Why are we arguing about this? It's not that serious. Yeah. She will literally say that to me, and I'm like, but is it? Yeah. But is it though?
It's not that serious to you.
Yes. Yeah. But to me, I'm feeling all these things, and like I need you to be able to understand that like I'm feeling all these things, and like this interaction is not helping the feelings at all. Yeah. But like I think it comes down to like finding the source of the feeling, and like, is it because of what we're talking about? Is it because of what they said? And like, she said one thing to me that really made me like think. She's like, instead of assuming that I'm coming at you in judgment, why can't you assume, because I love you and I show you that I love you and I'm always so tender and caring with you, why can't you assume I'm coming from a good place? Like, why when you hear it do you automatically think I'm judging you? She's like, instead of expecting me to always use the right words and the right verbs and everything, like, why can't you meet me there halfway and assume that I mean well? And I'm like, you know what? You're right.
You might be onto something, girl.
You really are right, you know? So there are a lot of things that she says that I'm like, yeah, maybe I need to fucking rework my brain. So, you know.
Sometimes these Gen Zers, they know what they're talking about.
Yeah, it's just also like really nice having people around me that will ask me questions like that. Like even sometimes you will ask me things like that. And like, I'll be like, I mean, okay, yeah, you're kind of right, but like, what the fuck ever, you know? Yeah. So I really enjoy like having people around me that can also like hold me accountable and ask me those questions. So.
Definitely. Next, this might be a little touchy.
Okay.
Have you cheated or considered cheating? Like ever, not just in this relationship.
In this relationship, I have not done anything.
You don't have to specify.
But I listen. She listens to the podcast. No,
actually specify.
Babes, I want to let you know, I see your boundary. I see it. I see you.
We see each other.
Ain't nothing funny going on, and nothing funny has ever gone on. There we go. But in past relationships, I definitely have considered it. And like maybe in my relationship out of high school, it was really bad. It was like really bad. Like it was really bad and like very disrespectful to like my relationship and the person. But I think it stemmed from a lot of resentment that I was having towards them and like their family and like things like that. So I don't think it was for no reason, but I definitely like, yeah, it definitely like was a problem. And then like, my last year's, the ex I was trying to be friends with that we talked about in the last episode. That one, it's not like I considered it because I also was very open about being like an ethically non-monogamous person. But I think when it came to like a certain pairing that I had and that I like hold on to because I like familiarity, as I always say. So like, I feel like that's something I'm usually going to hold on to. I think that could have went better.
Yeah.
It definitely could have went better. And I think if it went better, then the outcome also would have been different. But
yeah, definitely. I agree with that. Yeah, I mean, like, I would say the boundaries were pretty loose.
Yeah.
When at the time when this happened, but I technically, okay. So me and Blue had broken up in like November, right? But like we were still like in the midst of it. Like it took us like 3 months to break up. So like we were still seeing each other and like we're still having sex and like going out on dates. And then I met somebody else and like we weren't together, but we were just together. And I definitely like they overlapped. But then shortly, like not long after at all, like maybe like a week or two, like it ended. And so I mean, like, it depends on how you look at it.
Yeah.
It just depends on how you look at it. And then also, like, you know, same. Like, just, I think the way I could have handled other relationships within my primary relationship definitely could have been better. But
I also, like, can't feel bad about, like, the ex. Like, I feel bad for some aspects of the ex I was trying to be friends with. But also in the very beginning, and when I tell people about this person in my life, I always lay out the history, what it has been, what it could be, like things that I think about. Like I always am very open about that. So for it to kind of blow up like that was like so insane to me because it's not like I ever withheld any truth.
Yeah.
I didn't even lie by omission. Okay. People love to do that. I'm a
liar by omission.
I did not lie by omission or anything. I laid it out in everything. This is who this person is. This is the history that we've had. You know, this is the relationship that I would like for us to have. And it didn't seem like a problem. But because I wasn't considerate to their ex saying the same thing, but lying by omission about the whole thing, and then like also tricking them into a threesome with that person, I should have been more sensitive to that information. That is, I think, where like I fucked up.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And the fact that you can, you know, see that now, I think helps. I definitely should have waited and like cut everything off like pretty cleanly, but that's my problem. I just like get over, get under, you know? So, we'll see how this one goes.
Yeah.
Lastly, before we wrap up, because this is kind of a long episode, but a good one.
Yeah.
Have you ever had to leave a toxic situation?
I mean, at the end of like me and my ex, we were kind of trying to work things out or like trying to come to a point of understanding. And there was some point where like she was just talking at me and like just saying things that just made me feel like a terrible person, a terrible partner, despite all the things that I did and ways that I like really considered them and listened to them and things like that. Like there was one thing that she said, I don't even remember what she said, but I know I still have the message somewhere in a thread. And at that point, I literally just sent her a message and I was like, you know what? I, again, am going to apologize for not being more considerate to you. I'm sorry that this instance has made you feel or erased everything that has been going on for these months, but I can't go back and forth with you anymore. Yeah. Like, I think that was one thing because like sometimes the way she was talking to me reminded me of how my mom would talk to me. And so like,
triggered.
Yeah. So like, at some point I had to be like, no, we're not doing this. But because of my relationship with my mom, it's really hard for me to like even get to a point of a relationship with something that is so toxic because it's like, I've been in toxic my whole life. Like there's just, so I mean, I guess
hard to get out of that.
Yes. So I guess you could say like my mother, like I definitely like 16, she said, you don't like the way I run my house, you can fucking go. So I was like, oh, okay, bitch, I'm gonna just go then. Like, that's fine. I'm a dip. So, you know, there's that. So, yeah.
Yeah, you've left some toxic relationships.
I have, and I am better off for it. Absolutely.
Yeah. I've left toxic relationships. I just tend to not leave them until they like get so toxic that they have to disintegrate.
Yeah. It's like it just caught fire, and you're like, you know what? I think now is the time to go.
Yeah, I'm gonna take a step back here.
Instead of, do I smell gas? Nope, just waiting. Oh, now it's on fire. I gotta go.
You know, we live and we learn and we grow, and I love that we can be on the journey together, and that it's also being recorded in live time.
Digital footprint, bitch, is there.
It's there forever. With that being said, if you've never listened to us before, but you loved this episode, go ahead and like and subscribe to our YouTube. We're in 4K, bitch.
Yeah.
And follow us on Instagram and TikTok at allyourpleasures_, where we post reels and little TikTokies.
Yes.
And you know, just keep wanting to be a part of the Pleasure Babe community. And what else do I usually say, bitch? If you're listening to this on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, ho, we love ya.
Bye.